Welcome to night class. All right, so today we're focusing on emails. No, we're not talking about spam from your cousin in Nairobi who really needs your credit card number to get home. These emails are another chapter in the Varsity Blues scandal, one that not only shows how entrenched money is in USC's admissions process, but how casually the school handles it and how they're willing to lie about it to save face. Now, for starters, let's talk about the Varsity Blues scandal, also known as the "What about William H. Macy" case. Now, if you're like William H. Macy and haven't heard about the Varsity Blues scandal, here's a quick recap.
Here's the basics. Rich parents pay rich college consultant to bribe rich athletic official to put rich parents' kids onto rich athletic officials' sports team. This happens at a lot of rich universities, but the famous person went to USC. As a result, USC now has 2 OJs, but only one of them verified on Twitter. Back to you.
Thanks. Now look, this scandal isn't all Full House alum. Here's one of the parents indicted in the scandal. His name is Robert Zangrillo, a Miami venture capitalist charged with bribing his daughter into USC with the help of college consultant and shaved Geico caveman Rick Singer. Now, as part of the Varsity Blues scandal, Zangrillo allegedly funneled $200,000 through Singer's fake charity. Zangrillo pleaded not guilty to bribing members of USC's athletic administration into admitting his daughter. And while she wasn't put onto a team, she was still given VIP admission status. He says that she was given this status because of a $50,000 donation made directly to the athletics program. All right, so that's $200,000 paid to a fake charity and $50,000 paid to the school. Put that together, and you've almost made your first tuition payment. Now, most of the trials from the Varsity Blues scandal are still in their early stages, but Zangrillo is the first parent to give us a hint as to what his defense strategy is. That defense? Well, everyone else was doing it. Look, Zangrillo's lawyers claim part of what he did, which was paying his daughter's way into the university, was standard practice for the athletics administration, like injuring quarterbacks or being federally investigated. USC has denied this claim, saying, quote, "No athletic department official has the authority to compel admissions decisions." But Zangrillo wasn't having that. To prove his case, his legal team subpoenaed internal documents and emails sent between the admissions and athletics offices at USC. In those emails were Excel spreadsheets used to list VIP students that the athletic department was recommending for admission. Now, look, you'd expect that students labeled as VIPs by athletic department officials were being recruited for, athletics. And because these spreadsheets are usually used for athletes, each student has a column to define what sport they play. But this is where USC's definition of sport gets a little flexible. For example, instead of baseball, soccer, or football, students were said to be playing Met with Tim, Trojan Family, Scholarship Club, International, Personal, Cybercoders, Potential Donor, Donor, Sand, Provost Code, Friend, Sister, Lots of Codes, Don't Use Bullet, and my personal favorite, Car Dealer. There were more students recruited with the label of car dealer than there were for baseball, which is why, if you look closely next time you're at a baseball game, the dugout is actually full of pre-owned Chevy Tahoes, winner of the 2017 J.D. Power & Associates Best in Class SUV and Truck Awards. Now, there are even notes on these spreadsheets that say how much a student or their family can donate or how much they've donated in the past. One student is even referred to as given $2 million already, while another is just 15 mil, which, if you're Robert Zangrillo, makes you feel kind of small now, doesn't it? But the part of this new information that is by far the most revealing are the actual emails sent between athletics and admissions officials, some of whom still work here at USC. They also happen to be the most entertaining, so let's take a look. Between 2014 and 2018, administrative officials would send messages back and forth pushing for certain students to be admitted, those that came with the promise of a donation. In one case, an official from the admissions office even said they would try to guilt a family into donating, which is strange. If you ask anyone but Rick Caruso, they know that USC isn't a Catholic university. But remember when USC said that no athletic department official has the authority to compel admissions decisions? That's technically true, but they get pretty close. Emails sent by former Senior Associate Athletic Director Donna Heinel, who was fired back in March for her involvement in the scandal, show her corresponding with officials from the admissions office, including Dean of Admission and half-smile world champion Tim Brundle. These emails show her make repeated requests for Brundle to admit students recommended by either her or former USC Athletic Director Pat Hayden. 2016, one message contained a list that included all the kids Hayden apparently knew personally and highly recommended. 91% of those kids were admitted. And if you see these emails, you'll notice some of them get pretty weird. Like, take this one from Heinel to Brundle. Tim, thank you so much for taking the time to meet this student. Really appreciate it. I just wanted to say again that you do look good. You look thinner. Don't know if you've been working out, but I just wanted to let you know. Hope it's not stress. This isn't normal email talk. That's something you email Christian Bale after his role in The Machinist. Like, hey, Christian, movie's done. We're worried about you. Have a burger. Send for my BlackBerry. But that's not the point. Not all of the conversations were weirdly personal. Some were just stupid. Take this conversation between Brundle and Kirk Brennan, Director of Admissions and secret whimsical baker. In June 2018, Brennan emailed a student to let them know that their application, which was initially denied in the fall, was going to be reconsidered the following spring once their grades came in. The student, responding in an email, said, "I really appreciate the opportunity to attend USC and be a part of the Trojan family," misspelling the phrase apart. Now, this is just a grammatical error, though it's kind of a bad look in the email that could be getting you accepted into college. But Brennan then forwarded this message to Brundle, which prompted the following exchange. Brundle: "Thanks. Clearly a well-qualified kid, frowny face." Brennan: "Apart from his English, yeah. Good enough to shag balls for the tennis team anyway." Brundle: "You said balls." When the people in charge of making decisions that can literally define a kid's future are basically series regulars on South Park, there's a problem somewhere. Just ask the whimsical baker with his Trojan-themed croissants and his golden cookies. Oh, how'd you get them to taste like gold, Mr. Baker? We'd love to know. Let's not get this confused. What USC is doing here isn't against the rules. It isn't different from what any other wealthy university does to keep track of famous students or those whose parents have donated large sums of money. How else do you think Trent from high school got into Dartmouth? Ultimately, what they're doing is just shady, so they lied about it. USC is like the Bill Clinton of universities. What they did wasn't illegal, but it's still pretty messed up. According to the subpoena, USC said that officials do not track donations by an applicant's family or specifically track the percentage of special interest students who are admitted. They also said that the majority of students who receive a special interest tag are not admitted. In fact, USC just recently released a statement in response to Zangrillo's subpoena. In it, they say that his subpoena is an obvious red herring. And surprisingly, USC's right. Showing that donations get you into USC has nothing to do with Zangrillo paying Rick Singer $200,000. What it may show is USC's institutionalized disregard for academic integrity. At a time when the university was bragging about record-low admissions rates, USC admitted 68% of these VIP candidates, at least one of whom had a GPA as low as 2.7. But again, what's really the most crazy part of all of this is that this is technically legal. None of this absolves Zangrillo, but it does show that if you're willing to pay your way to get into USC, they have no problem cashing the check. And so this guy, this man, who stands charged with wire fraud, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and is dressed up as an Indian chief at Burning Man, is telling us that USC is the crazy one. And guess what? He might not be wrong.